Why do I keep attracting the same life? Now, I'm sure you've asked this question to yourself, because I know I have. Besides all the vision boards, writing down the goals, the visualization, the affirmations, the prayer, why after these things my life seems to just remain the same? The same problems, the same circumstances, the same money, the same job. Why don't I seem to change? Why don't I seem to elevate? Why don't I seem to live in my desired reality? These are all questions I've asked myself. And if this is the questions you're asking yourself, please, I urge you just to stay with me, because I want to show you some very, very profound things that I personally know will change your life. Now, let me paint you a picture. Let's say this is you, right? 31st of September, every single year. You seem to be doing the same thing. Writing down the goals, the vision, creating the mood board, having the car, the house, the physique, the bank balance, the relationship, everything on it. And you feel different for like, let's say 3 weeks. Even 3 weeks for some of you, it was a long time. A classic example, gym. We know every year, right, January, for I'll say the 3 weeks in January, gym is packed. Everybody and their uncle's dog is in there. But when it gets to like January 25th, no, that's a long time. January 17th, that's when you start to see people dropping. The gym becomes a bit emptier. Why is that? It's because what happens is that you did everything right, you wrote the goals, but you slowly started drifting back to that person that you was. And that word person is key, because person links to identity. And what I'm here to show is this very, very principle that I want you to write down. And I want it to be clear. Guys, this is not a sit down with your food, with your jollof, your eba, and you're eating and you just need something nice, or you just want to watch something whilst you're eating. Move the food to the side. I need you to take notes. So get your notebooks and your pens, and all your notes, put it in the comments. I want to see what you guys are writing. But this is the principle, and I need you to write this down. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. What does this mean? Before I unpack this, there are two very important words in that phrase. The first word attract. Why is this word important? Well, what is attract? Thing is, you probably think attract is some type of way that the universe delivers the package of your desired reality, or God just laying down everything that you've ever wanted at your feet. No. You see, attract is a mechanical word. What do I mean by that? Attract is when like recognizes like. Attract is a word of correspondence. When something equals this, when this reflects that. That is what attract is. And why do I say that this word is important in that phrase? Because when it comes to attracting your desired reality, it's actually your outside world recognizing your inner. It's actually your reality reflecting your person. That is what attract really means. Let's go into the second word that's important. Man, using a whiteboard, man, it feels so surreal. You see me, I never listened in school. So now to use a whiteboard to teach about attracting your desired reality, it feels very, very, very surreal. Anyways, the second most important word in the phrase is are. Why is this word important? Are is your self-being. Are is your identity. So when I say you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, what I'm trying to say is that you attract what it is that you are in the inside. That is the attraction. You reflect only what is inside of you. So whatever is inside of you, whatever it is your identity is, that is what you will see. That is what you will experience. That's the circumstances you will experience. That's the type of relationships you will have. That's the types of money you would have. That's the type of feelings you will have. Everything you desire to experience in the outer world is only a reflection of your inner. Let's go deeper. Okay. Now, let's go into some biblical principle. There is a scripture written by one of the wealthiest and wisest men that's ever lived, by the name of King Solomon. You may have heard of him, you may haven't, but he was profound for his wisdom. Now, one of the things he wrote was in the book of Proverbs 23 and verse number 7. And it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you haven't got a Bible, write that scripture down. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, what does that mean? See, you have to split this scripture into three parts. You have the first part, as a man thinketh. The second, in his heart. And the third, so is he. As a man thinketh, you've probably heard that before. And you probably think it's some type of, way to say, okay, you need to think good thoughts. Think about good things. No. It's a lot deeper than that. You've tried to think good thoughts. Doesn't mean good things happen. But the second part of that verse is what is key, because he doesn't say, as a man thinketh in his mind. He says, as a man thinketh in his heart. So we need to understand what the heart is, right? Let's do that. Now, when we look at the etymology of the word heart in that scripture, when I say the word etymology, I mean the meaning of the word. The Old Testament was written in the Hebrew, the New Testament was written in the Greek. So we have to understand the Hebraic meaning of the word heart to understand what King Solomon truly meant when he said heart in this scripture. Now, the word heart in this scripture is the word nefesh. The word nefesh is the Hebraic meaning of the word heart in the scripture. Now, what does nefesh mean in the Hebrew? Nefesh means inner being. Nefesh means whole self. Meaning, when we apply this understanding to that scripture, it changes everything. As a man thinketh in his nefesh, in his inner being, so is he. Let me make a note of that. And make sure you're making notes. Nefesh is the inner self. That changes everything. So, as a man thinketh in his inner self, so is he. What is the inner self? Okay, thing is, I'm going to break it down deep so you have a full understanding of what it is. So what is the inner self? Let's go to another scripture. The book of Proverbs 4 and verse number 23. And it says, out of the heart proceeds all the issues of life. Out of the heart proceeds the issues of life. And there's another translation I really like. It says in the 21st century King James, it says, out of the heart proceeds the outflowings of life. But what's interesting about this scripture is that it actually has a different Hebrew word to describe heart. Let me show you what it is. The Hebrew word used in the book of Proverbs 4 and verse 23 is leb. What does leb mean? Leb means the soul. So let's use this understanding and rephrase the scripture. It says, out of the heart, out of the leb, out of the soul proceeds all the issues of life. That means from your soul proceeds the issues, the outflowings of life. The lens of which you look at life is from the inner being, from the leb, from your soul. And your life and the reality of life, the circumstances, the situations, the experiences, down to what you wear, your bank account, your job, everything comes from this. Your leb, your soul. Now, look, we all have a soul. Every single one of us has a soul. But what is it? What is the soul? I mean, I'm sure we have one, right? And the thing is, no one really tries to understand it, but let me break down what the soul is. The soul is constructed by three parts. Make sure you're writing this down. The soul is the makeup of the mind, the will, and the emotions. These three things make up your soul. How? Why? Okay. Your mind. What comes from your mind? Your thoughts. What comes from your will? Choices / decisions. What comes from your emotions? Your feelings. So, your soul is made up of your mind, your will, and your emotions. What comes from your mind is your thoughts. What comes from your will is your decisions and your choices. And what comes from your emotions are your feelings. These three things is what your inner self is created by. Everything you are, down to your deepest level, is the makeup of these three things. Why? Because you can't make up your thoughts. Your thoughts are what you have when no one's in the room. Your thoughts are what you have when it's just you by yourself. Your choices and decisions. Yes, these can be influenced, but they entirely come from you and they make up your whole life. Everything that happens to you is the sum up of your decisions and your choices. And the last thing, your feelings. This encapsulates what moves you. You can't have any of these without the other. They all link. Every single one. Your thoughts link to your decisions to your feelings to your decisions, and your decisions to your thoughts. And all of this make up your soul. So the question, how do you know what your soul is? How do you know your inner self? Understand your thoughts, your choices and decisions, and your feelings. What do you think about? What is in your mind? What do you spend the most of your time thinking about? What choices and decisions are you making? What do you choose to do? What decisions have you made today? And your feelings. How do you feel? What are the feelings that arise at certain situations? I promise you, when you understand these three things deeply, you've understood your soul. And there's a reason as to why Jesus has commissioned for souls, not for minds. He's asked us to renew our minds, but he wants your soul, because once he has your soul, then he has all these three things, and he has your inner being. Why do you think there's such a fight for Jesus and the devil for this very thing? Because this is everything you are. If you have somebody's soul, you've had that being. That being belongs to you. What does that mean? This is who you are. So in the journey of wanting to attract your desired reality, you first have to understand who you are. And this is how you understand who you are. Understand your thoughts, understand your decisions, understand your choices, understand your feelings. Then you'll be able to make the link as to, oh, that is why I didn't get that job. That is why I'm in this current situation. That is why I've been struggling with this. Before you do that, you won't be able to attract what you want if you do not understand why you are where you are. And this is how you do that. Let's go into something else. See, I had other choices to use in terms of colors, but I really like this purple. What's your favorite color, guys? See, mine, I'm a bit weird. I'm one of them, man. My favorite color is emerald. Sorry, I'm one of them, man. I know. I'm not gonna say blue, black. That's boring. Emerald. Go and Google what emerald looks like. You'll understand what I'm saying. And I'm not just talking about the jewel emerald. It's actually a color. Obviously, the jewel emerald is beautiful, but I love the color. But anyways, let's go into something else. There is a group of neurons at the back of your brain connecting your spine to the bottom of your skull called the RAS. Now, RAS is an abbreviation for the reticular activation system. Let me write that down. The reticular activation system. Now, this group of neurons are responsible for something that you would never ever know until now. You know, our brain gets fed 11 million bits of information every second. And it's impossible for our conscious mind to receive all that information. So there's a mechanism, this one, and its job is to filter out all that information into the conscious mind. But it can only filter 40 out of the 11 million bits of information. But it has a rule. The information that gets filtered into your subconscious has to be information that you already believe about yourself and the world. It's a rule, I'll repeat and write this down. The rule of the reticular activation system, the rule of the RAS, is to only filter in information that you believe about yourself and the world. In other words, it filters your truth. It only invites information that is evidence of your truth. It only allows information into your subconscious that you believe is true about yourself and the world. Let me give you an example. If you believe that the world is a dark place full of misery, no opportunities, it's a wasteland, no one can ever achieve anything. If that is your belief, what RAS says is that, okay, I'm going to ensure that whatever information he receives is going to be information that provides evidence for what he believes. So what happens? All the information he now takes in is information that backs up his truth or her truth. So if there's opportunities, the RAS will hide it, say, no. He believes that there's no opportunities. So we're going to actually make sure, that he doesn't receive any opportunities. We're actually going to close doors. There's open doors, but the RAS is saying, no. He believes that there's no opportunities. She believes there's no opportunities. So we're going to actually close those doors. We're going to ensure that he doesn't see it. There's going to be a man or a woman that he's going to sit next to him at the bus stop. That's going to give him his dream. That's going to give him the job of a life. But you know what? I'm going to make sure he ignores that person because I need to show evidence that the world is a dark place that has no opportunities. You see how dangerous it is? Do you see how important it is to understand what you believe and what you hold as truth? Let's flip it. Let's say there's a guy or girl who believes that the world is abundant in opportunities, abundant in wealth, abundant in joy, peace, and happiness. What's the rest going to do? He's going to back that. He's going to only filter in evidence that proves his truth. So opportunities are going to come his way or her way. People are going to come into his life that will bring him joy. He'll have great relationships. Because the RAS is only going to provide evidence for what that person believes is true. Why am I saying this? And why is it key for this topic? It's key because if you believe something that's contrary to what you want to attract, it will never happen. You say you want money. You say you want a better job. You say you want a good relationship. You say you want peace. You say you want happiness. But what do you believe? Do you believe you deserve it? Do you believe you can actually attain it? Do you believe that is actually yours? If you believe that is yours, and you believe that that is what you have, what you can get and what you have, the rest will only give you evidence that that's true. So before you say you want to attract something, understand deeply, do I believe that I can attain it? Do I believe that joy is mine? Do I believe abundance is mine? Do I believe peace is mine? Or do I just say I want it, but in my true self, in my inner self, I actually believe that I am chaos, that my life is chaos, that my whole experience of life is chaos? You can't have a self-belief of chaos and want peace. You can't have a self-belief of poverty and want riches. Write that down. Change what you believe about yourself and the world. Again, this is not just about yourself, this is about the world. It's both. They both have to align. If you believe you're abundant, you better believe this world is abundant. If you believe that you are peace, you better believe that this world is peaceful. There are two people. That's why there are two people that can have the same experience but have different outcomes. Two people can go through a rough childhood, but one person ends up prospering and succeeding and the other person fails, because although they went through the same thing, they had different beliefs. Understand what your belief is and your whole world will change. That's some neuroscience for you. Now, we're going to look into something very, very old. When I say old, I'm talking older than King Solomon. More than 3,000 years of wisdom and understanding is about to be unveiled. So be ready. It better be good because I've bigged it up now, so. Right. Now, this is something the Hermetics called the law of correspondence. Now, what is the law of correspondence? Write this down. The law of correspondence is specifically this phrase. And just write down this phrase. Okay, the board is a bit wet. As within, as without. What does that mean? This means as within, the inner self, the nefesh, the leb, the soul, as without, your experience, your situations, your circumstance. The outside is only a reflection of your inside. That's why it says as within first, then as without. It wasn't out as without, then within. This is very key, and I really need you guys to understand this. You can't change your external life by changing your external life. This is going to sound quite dumb, but pay attention. You can't solve not being a gym goer by going to the gym. You become a gym goer by becoming a gym goer. What does that mean? The reason why you had those many people at the beginning of the year going to the gym for 3 weeks was because they thought they can solve their issue by just going. But the way to solve the issue was first to be within, become the gym goer within, and allow it to reflect on the outside. You need to become the person before you do the thing. Because you realize when you start doing the thing, it only lasts a couple moments, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, a week, couple days, couple minutes, couple hours. Why? Because you didn't become the person. And the way you become the person is from within. is from your soul, is from your mind, is from your nefesh. So, with all that said, practically, how are we going to do this? How are you going to transform your life? I'm going to give you 3 things. And write this down. The first thing, reframe your thinking to the inner self. Realize that change comes from within, from your soul, and it reflects in your circumstance. Don't be so caught up on what you see. Do you know that what we see is only a fragment of reality? The electromagnetic spectrum reflects light, right? Okay, so the way we see physically, right? Light gets reflected into our eyes, and then we're able to see. Light, right? Light is only 0.0035% of the electromagnetic field. So what's the rest? We're only able to see this because of light, but light in itself is limited in the electromagnetic field. There is more to reality than you see. There are 3 planes of existence. I'll go into detail on this on another video. We have the physical, which is what we see and experience, the mental, and the spiritual. What you see is the physical, but the physical is only a reflection of the mental and spiritual plane. So why focus on what you can see and touch when the real work and the real change happens inside in your nefesh? The second thing, stop asking, how do I become rich? How do I become successful? How do I become happy? How do I have good relationships? And start asking, who do I become? Who do I have to become to have these things? What thoughts, what emotions, and what choices do I have to make to become that? What soul or what person do I need to embody that has these things already? And the last thing, and this is more practical, before you wake up, before you grab your phone, as there's dust in your eyes, 3 minutes, I want you to spend embodying the feeling of that person you want to become. Think about it. If that person is wealthy, what feelings do they have when they wake up? They feel secure, they feel safe, they feel abundant, they feel giving. Embody these feelings. Acclimate these feelings to yourself. And what will happen, and I'm telling you, because I'm speaking from experience, it might work for the 4 days, it might feel a bit weird. And then the 5th day, you're probably going to feel like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Don't listen to that voice, because that's your old self trying to make you think it's stupid so that you won't remove him from your inner self. It's very spiritual. Sometimes what it will do is it will play games with our mind to make us think that what we're doing is either futile, useless, or stupid. And in doing so, if you listen to that, it's one. You'll carry on being lazy. You'll carry on having the same circumstances because it feels safe there. But change is meant to be uncomfortable. Change is meant to feel foreign. Embody that feeling and understand that if that feeling comes, it's because whatever it is inside of you wants to remain, but it needs to go. Thank you.